Hello everyone and welcome to the 22nd PvP Live podcast. I'm your host Jason Mackaw along with PvP Live staff members Aridn, Eldacar, and of course Davis. He doesn't have his webcam because he left it at a girl's house last night. I don't even know, so I guess we're just going to put the cute little kitten up there for him. Starting with you, Davis. How
That's
you doing
actually
today?
Her cat. That's her cat.
Oh, that is her cat. We just
He
took a
traded the
picture.
cat for the webcam.
There you go. What a deal. Davis, how you doing, bud? Davis, you there?
He's muted.
Davis is muted. So we're going to go on to Aridn. How are you doing today, buddy?
So,
he's back.
yeah, I muted my mic on Skype. That wasn't a good plan because when I unmuted my mic, like the manual way, I didn't realize. But yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Welcome. Welcome. How is Scotland doing this fine evening?
Well, the warmth has completely left me, I have to say, because my heating has been broken. So I now live in a cold country with no heating. So this is just kind of...
I feel like this is an ongoing problem with you.
Is there
Cold in the Royal Palace?
Is there such thing as summertime in Scotland?
I mean, theoretically, we get like 1 to 2 days where you could call it summer, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people live here, why people ever populated this land, to be quite honest.
I guess even better yet, why do you have space heaters there? That's probably the better question.
I mean, what's a space heater?
Or like socks, or like warm clothing.
It eats all of space.
All of it.
It eats all of space.
Eldacar, how you doing today? I know you've been playing a bunch of Diablo 3 and, of course, Heroes of the Storm, the Tech Alpha. Completely jealous. How's that been going for you?
I'm doing great, and like you said, I have been playing a lot of both of those games, and I'm a little frustrated that they both came out like right at the same time, because I don't know which one to play, and I want to play them both like 24/7 for the rest of time.
First world gamer problems.
Yeah, it's hard to balance your gaming schedule.
and now the alpha for Warlords of Draenor is getting ready to come out, and
Yeah,
I want to get invited to that, but if I do, oh my god.
too much going
Talk
on.
about time management issues.
Yeah, that's obviously we're going to be talking about the alpha announcement for Warlords of Draenor. But first, Aridn, how are you doing? I know you got a big birthday coming up. You're turning like 45, and it's like your 37th marital anniversary or something coming up next weekend.
Sort of. You're a little off, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm doing great. I turn 26 next week, and it's also my wife and I will not married, but have been together for 10 years. So yeah, I got a bit of a celebration coming up next weekend. So unfortunately, I won't see any of your lovely names in chat next week. I'm sorry, but I'm here this week, so
Yeah.
let's make the best of it. Huh?
You got to take a little break, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about Game of Thrones, right? I mean, this is a big night. This is right in the middle of it. Thank God for HBO Go, right? Watch it later this evening. But enough of that. Who cares? An alpha announcement. I mean, Regarius typed up this huge post, in depth, one of the biggest ones we've ever seen for on a pre-release during an alpha.
Yeah.
And I think the community, I don't want to say they're up in arms, but a lot of people are concerned. There's a lot of positivity going on, and a lot of comments, complaints, kind of all wrapped in together. Kind of just doing a broad spectrum right now. Going down to you, Eldacar. What are your first thoughts on this major Warlords of Draenor announcement?
My first thoughts are, wow. I mean, the size and the depth of those patch notes just completely blew me away. I mean, it's unlike anything we've ever seen from Blizzard in the past. It was like 33-something pages of patch notes. And what I really loved about them was the water cooler style analysis and context of why they were making changes and what was happening, rather than just a list of cold, factual, here's what's happening. Because for this patch in particular, we really needed the extra context to put things in perspective, because they really are, they're taking a lot away from a lot of classes. And I know that people are very concerned about what it's going to do to their classes and about what the end result is going to be. But you really have to take the whole big picture into consideration. And I feel like they did a good job at least presenting that information, even if not everybody read it.
Yeah, kind of like you said too, don't focus so much on individual classes, the announcements for each individual classes, kind of take it as a whole and look at it from, everyone's perspective. Davis, going down to you, what do you think of Regarius's huge Warlords of Draenor post announcement?
I mean, the difficult thing with like all of this information coming out at once is trying to process it all, and obviously there's way more to come. But I mean, on the whole, it seems like a kind of general sketch of the ideas they're going to be bringing forward, if you know what I mean, and the changes they're going to make. I mean, on the whole, it just everything seems good, and like way better. And I'm really excited about the item level squish and stuff like that. I really want to see more exact numbers on exactly where that will leave health pools and where that will leave the damage players can put out in general. But yeah, I don't know. There's so much to look at.
It's a little overwhelming, I think.
Yeah.
Especially releasing that much information at one time with pretty much the basis of every change they're looking to make. I know I had to go through it several times just to make sure I had everything, and yeah, it's just very overwhelming. But kind of along with what Jeff was saying, I've been kind of amongst the different forums, the Blizzard forum, like MMO Champion, Arena Junkies. I've visited them all just to kind of get a feel for what people are saying, and I think too many people are just going to their class and looking at what change is being made to their class without looking at everything all together and kind of getting upset about it. Like they're completely nerfing my class, but they're completely nerfing everybody. To be honest, the whole game is just getting tuned down a couple notches. So I really want to encourage any of you guys in chat or anybody that's going to listen to this later on that if you're looking at these things, don't get discouraged. Try to look at the big picture. All of this, every change they're making is a huge step in making the game better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Did anybody disagree with that? I mean, it's
definitely moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
We can all probably agree upon that. Kind of just opening up the discussion before we getting into a bunch of subtopics of the Warlords of Draenor Alpha announcement. One of the major things was they kind of released all the new level 100 talents. And Eldacar, you were kind of saying earlier, actually, you don't think the new 100 talents are as powerful as the 90 talents were when they first were released in Mists of Pandaria. Eldacar, why don't you go a little bit into that?
Well, from my looking at the level 100 talents that we've seen right now, I mean, I haven't looked at every single one of them, but the ones that I have looked at, particularly for the mage, the DK, and the paladin, they just don't seem as game-changing as the level 90 talents. And I don't think that's a problem. I think that's probably actually a good thing. I know when they were first introducing this talent system, they were talking about how they wanted those level 90 talents to be the end-all, be-all, to be real game-changers, to feel overpowered. But you can't just keep trying to one-up yourself in these talent tiers every expansion, or that would run counter to their goals of trying to trim things down and get things back under control.
Yeah, I mean, how
far
far
as the
can
whole
you
game experience is concerned?
How far can you go with it before your end game talents are one shot?
Exactly.
You really can't keep taking it in that direction. So
and the other big thing that I noticed is that some of the level 100 talents specifically are different depending on your spec, which is a total departure. And it seems like a lot of these talents are passives and things that try to directly affect the gameplay of the class, like how you're playing the class, how that spec in particular feels. And there's some of them that I don't think are really going to work out that well or feel that great. Paladins have one that affects, that gives them bonuses based on seals, like which seal that they have up. And it kind of encourages you to juggle your seals, and I don't feel like that's going to result in enjoyable gameplay as a rep paladin, but I'll have to wait and test it out.
Maybe for some people, a lot of people like that old stance dancing, seal swapping sort of play style.
Yeah, everybody has different preferences, and you can't make everybody happy. But I think it's just really interesting to see how they've changed change gears here with the talent system.
Eldacar, is there any standout talents that you've seen from any of the classes that are really like, wow, I'm really pumped about this, or I'm afraid of this?
Not particularly. It seems like I said, these talents are not quite as dangerous as the level 90 talents, but maybe looks can be deceiving. Maybe some of these are going to be truly game breaking, and I'm just totally off.
Davis, going to you. I know you kind of got really excited about one of the new rogue talents. Do you want to go into a little details about that?
So it's Death from Above, which is, I don't know, to me just sounds like one of the cool, and also Shadow Reflection. To be honest, all three of them are really cool, but specifically Death from Above, I just think will be one of the coolest abilities kind of visually in the game.
What is the ability? Can you explain it briefly?
It is a finishing move that consumes combo points. So it's like Eviscerate and Kidney Shot and things like that. And it makes you whirl around, dealing up to XXXXX damage to all enemies within 8 yards, and then leap into the air, slice into your target on the way back down, dealing an additional 500% weapon damage, or up to 723% if a dagger is equipped.
I think you just want to leap in the air, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do.
I just want to be a flying rogue.
Around, like,
Forget the mechanics of it.
Yeah,
It's
Mark
just,
for Death
want to jump in the air.
and Death from Above, just all over the place. But
WoW
Shadow
is,
Reflection...
WoW is now an action RPG.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, not to talk too much about Rogue specifically, but yeah, I really like the level 90 talents.
Was there anything else?
Level 100.
Was there anything else besides Death from Above that kind of stood out to you?
I mean, Shadow Reflection is the other option in the same tier, and that basically copies everything you do for 8 seconds, and then does it again to someone else for 8 seconds. So I don't know. That seems like you could make some really cool plays with that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In general, it looks pretty OP, to be honest. I'm gonna have fun on my rogue. But it's good because the rogue population has been really dying out, and a lot of the changes that they are implementing, I feel, don't necessarily encourage people to start playing the rogue class. They've removed a lot of the fun stuff, basically, but now they're, I don't know, they're also introducing things that will encourage people to play rogue, hopefully. I mean, who doesn't want to jump around and kill people?
Who doesn't want to fly through the air?
I think it's foreshadowing a new spec for rogues called the Ninja. The Ninja spec.
Oh man.
Isn't that just a monk though? Like, isn't a monk just
maybe
Kind of.
Well, monks can't really stealth though. Aridn, going to you. New level 100 talents. What are you most excited about for the classes that you play in particular?
To be honest, for the classes I play, nothing really strikes me as, like Jeff said, a huge game changer. I like how they kind of all seem to add their own flavor. I would like to see a little bit more, I guess, tuning and stuff. And of course, it's only alpha, so that's going to come. But I really like the initial idea they had with this new talent system, to where they're providing interesting choices. And as I'm sure we've all seen, as the expansion's gone on, there's really not so many interesting choices. The cookie cutter builds still kind of prevailed in many ways. So I just really want to see that. But as far as like something that looks completely overpowered, no, I like how they're kind of gameplay enhancers instead of game changers, which is cool. As they should be.
Aridn, kind of going right back to you too. We were kind of talking earlier.
Fastball.
In the call, yeah, I'm going right. I'm rapid fire tonight. We were talking about the 91 to 99 level Draenor perks that are going to be implemented in this new expansion. First off, can you do just a real quick explanation of what these different perks are?
Yeah, sure. So for every class, every spec, as you start leveling through Warlords, as soon as you hit 91, you get 1 of 9 new Draenor perks, which enhances your spells, whether it's plus damage, extended duration. You can go and see a lot of them. They're up on Wowhead right now, and I think MMO Champion has them as well. But they just kind of like enhance your spells in different ways, and it's all random, so There's 9 of them. You get them in a random order, so you could level 10 of one class and end up with, different outcomes at the end or whatever. Well, it's the same outcome, but different paths. And yeah, it's just kind of Blizzard's way of rewarding you for leveling and making the leveling experience feel like you're gaining something that's not like a choice, is kind of how they explained it, because I guess when you make a choice, sometimes you feel like you might make the wrong one. So it's just kind of, reward, and I really think it's going to bring a lot to the game. And it's something they didn't even talk about in this blog, but when you're going through your class and you're looking at what they've taken away from you and what they're changing and this and that, it's really easy to get discouraged. But then when you go and look at these Draenor perks, you could see kind of how they're trying to do it. For example, I play a Warlock, Affliction, and they took away things like Fell Flame and Drain Soul, but one of the perks is you get that Execute from Drain Soul built into your Malefic Grasp. So they kind of combine 2 spells into one. So you could go through and see that just basically how they're shaping these classes with them, and they're really cool. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Eldacar, going down to you, did you get a chance to kind of look over some of these new Draenor perks?
Yeah, I did get a chance to look over them, and I think it is kind of cool how they're just unilaterally giving you some enhanced power as you level up, because leveling up has kind of seemed lackluster since, well, for quite a while now. I mean, it used to be that when you would level up, you'd get new ranks of spells and all this other stuff, and you get talent points to spend, but as they revised the talent system and as they made it so they remove ranks of spells and you just get more powerful spells, getting a new level just does not seem that impactful anymore. And having these little bonuses that enhance abilities that you already have, and you don't have to make a choice, you don't have to feel like you're giving something up, you don't have to feel like you need to stop and research anything, I feel like that could really add a good feeling to getting these new levels again.
Yeah, they're kind of exciting little bonuses.
Exactly. Yeah. I am a little worried about where this is going to go long term. If they keep adding perks like this throughout expansions, then 3 expansions down the road, are we going to have tons and tons of these little perks that are changing the way abilities work based on what level you are, and what kind of complexity is that going to add to the game? But it's too early to tell about that kind of stuff.
Davis, going to you. They're for Warlords of Draenor, they're adding from level 91 to 99. They're adding Draenor perks. What are your thoughts as a whole on this new kind of program that they're implementing?
I mean, much the same as Jeff. I have the same concern about it affecting gameplay in such a way that, I don't know, that an ability changes so dramatically with one of these bonuses that it's completely different from what it was before, if that makes sense. And it changes the class around too much. But in general, I really like the look of some of them. Like, some of them are just like nice little bonuses that I guess you could pass off as like what glyphs may have done in the past for your class or whatever.
Yeah.
So, a lot of them are fine and not particularly, there's nothing particularly OP about any of them that I've seen so far.
A lot of it actually reminds me of, remember the older talent trees? I wouldn't even say Cataclysm, but like Wrath and BC. You had all these little talents that you always kind of had to take that increased, damage of this spell by 10% or, crit chance by that percent. That's kind of, they obviously took a lot of those away with the new talent system in Warlords, and they're kind of putting those sort of things back in a way with this Draenor perks. So if you go through them and you look, like Rogues, for example, Enhanced Eviscerate reduces the energy cost of Eviscerate by 5. You get little damage buffs on abilities. So they're kind of putting those tiny little playstyle and buff things in this perks, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think... Jeff, I was just going to say, I kind of agree with you. I kind of like that, it's a fact where you don't have to research everything.
Right.
One minor change isn't going to destroy your whole class or your whole build. So it's kind of it's a nice welcome change, I think, or addition.
I think it is really important that they stay minor and basic, though.
Right.
A fundamental change to the way an ability works has the potential to cause confusion, because these are things that people are not really going to be thinking about once they hit level 100, and a lot of people are probably going to forget they exist once they hit level 100. And if they bring like a friend into the game and their friend is playing the same class and they're trying to explain an ability, you don't want to have a situation where they're saying your ability should be doing X and it's not doing X for them because they don't have this perk that you only get at level 93 that the veteran player has completely forgotten about.
Right.
And likewise with guides and stuff written about how to play certain classes. I mean, obviously, you're never going to be able to have a complete translation of the experience from max level to the lower levels, but this kind of added complexity, if they make it too complicated, could cause problems, I think. It needs to be really basic.
Before we move on, I just want to remind everyone to go to pvp-live.com, bookmark that site, follow us here on Twitch, follow all of us on Twitter, and you can even subscribe to us now. We have an awesome sub button with some awesome emotes
We do.
right below us, so remember to sub. Staying on this same topic of Warlords of Draenor and the Alpha announcement, where Gary has this huge post kind of moving on to ability pruning. We kind of got a preview a few weeks ago from the official post from Blizzard, and this is something that we've talked about before, but now we kind of have official announcements. JD Davis, going to you first. Your first comment was the rogue section is very small. Why don't you go into a little details of what you're so disappointed about?
Well, I mean, it's been explained to me that, this is not final, and I understand that, and, there will likely be more for rogues, but
Sure.
I don't know, it is just kind of a little worrying, and, in some of the ways you look at the patch notes, it's just like 3 lines for rogues, and it's just like, we removed this, no fun allowed, okay, you're balanced now.
No fun
Is basically, but I really think, because the rogue population has really been falling down, and the only reason people are playing rogue now is because of, I think the OP factors, like I can be an invisible ninja for as long as I like and stuff like that. But and I kind of, they're balancing those, which is good. But at the same time, it just there's nothing really new added apart from the talents. So in one sense, that could lead us to believe that they think rogues are in a good state and they just need some tuning down. But on the other hand, I don't know. I feel like if Blizzard want to increase people's likelihood of playing rogue, then there needs to be more changed, and I don't think it's been addressed. But
Yeah, I honestly think, and maybe I'll get some hate for this, because people are already not really receiving the news of losing abilities too well. I think they could do more, honestly. I was a little let down that they only eliminated a few spells from each class instead of a ton. Like, I was looking to see a grand purge of spells just gone, but that didn't happen. They did it pretty conservatively, and maybe it will ramp up throughout the alpha beta process. But yeah, I was a little let down. Just 1 or 2 spells here or there are gone. Not too big of a deal.
Yeah, something obviously we all have to keep in mind too. This is just a tech alpha, so there could be. We're still a long ways away even from the beta. So there could be a countless number of different changes. Danny, kind of touching base with you too. You were an avid Warlock Druid and DK Death Knighter.
Hero class.
Yeah, hero class. What are your thoughts on the different abilities being pruned from your particular mains?
All in all, it's again, I look at everything, I try to stay positive about it. Every class is receiving changes. It's all to make the game better. But there was one spell in particular that even the forums are kind of like, even the most level-headed warlocks are scratching their heads on it, and it's, warlocks don't have Fellflame anymore, or Fellflame's being removed. And for anybody that doesn't play, it's kind of an instant cast, sort of like Ice Lance Light. It doesn't really do much damage, but it keeps pressure up. It gets spell reflex and kills grounding totems, and warlocks don't have that. So my biggest worry about it is that just the spec affliction especially is going to become so boring. I guess you just keep your dots up and you fear, and you cast a haunt every once in a while and put your dots up again. It's just I like having that ability to move around and kind of contribute to my team more by being able to get spell reflex and groundings and things like that. So
Flame really revolutionize?
Apparently.
You know what? It did. I wouldn't. It's not a revolutionary spell by any means, and it's not even our strongest spell. It's just having that ability to cast something that does more damage than your corruption on the move, or use it for other things.
Run up in melee, smack them with
Yeah,
your sword.
yeah, exactly. I like getting. Well, yeah, you could
Melee
stomp
warlock.
totems.
There we go.
Stick your pet on totems. I guess you could do that, but.
Well, the summary of everything that Aridn just said is he is quitting Warlock because they removed Fell Flame.
No.
Eldacar, going down to you. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying it's one of those things that you just take for granted, and once you're facing losing it, you realize how important of a spell it is, really.
Right.
So
you realize how often you use it.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Eldacar, going down to you. What are your thoughts on the official ability pruning post?
I've got to agree with Danny on his first point, not about the whole Warlock stuff, but
Sorry, I just had to get a little
I think they could have done more, and I was really expecting more abilities to be removed than were removed. I mean, I look at Paladins, which are my favorite class, and there really was not that much that was removed, and a lot of it was talked about previously, so I was kind of expecting it. But I feel like there's so many abilities right now, and they could remove more, and the game would still be fun. I mean, obviously nobody wants to have stuff removed from them, their class individually, but across the board, I hope that they, as testing progresses, they do more, like Danny said. Maybe they'll pour more out as testing goes on, and they decide an ability's a little superfluous or not totally needed, but I just want to see more gone. The one thing I am really happy about, though, is Inquisition has been removed. That might be my favorite change to Paladins of the entire expansion.
Why does that make you excited, Jeff?
Because it just... Playing as Ret with Inquisition just did not feel fun. Having to constantly use Paladin combo points, is what I call them, to keep Inquisition up, just... It's not fun. It's just another thing to manage, and it's combo points that I cannot use to do damage. And
it doesn't feel rewarding.
It just never. It doesn't feel rewarding. It just feels like a mandatory thing that you've got to keep juggling, and that gameplay is not rewarding in my opinion. So to see that gone, if there was one ability I could get rid of, it was definitely that one.
Davis, did you want to touch on juggling? I heard you smirk.
No, I was just laughing about
professional
this
juggler
reaction to having to keep this buff off when rogue gameplay for a long time was just keep up slice and dice.
That's what I figured you were laughing at. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention.
Well, you know what? As they say, different strokes for different folks. Not everybody likes that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wasn't saying it was an enjoying part of the gameplay, and I agree that it's not the most fun thing. And
what was frustrating for me is I've been playing a Paladin since vanilla, like the early days of vanilla, and that mechanic really only came into play, I think, in Cataclysm. So it was, I mean, I didn't get into the class enjoying that type of gameplay, and I still don't enjoy it, so I'm glad to see it gone.
but moving on to some more Warlords of Draenor Alpha tech announcements. Health and resilience. They're doubling health post-squish, making stamina more viable, and then, there's going to be zero-based resilience, which we can get into. Aridn, starting with you, what do you think about these health and resilience changes?
Well, first of all, the health thing is a little bit confusing, I think. So their official word on how it's working is it's being doubled post-squish. So after everything's all squished down and smaller, they're doubling health. A little weird to get an idea of what they're doing for that, but essentially the point is that they're trying to make it so that resilience is not needed, so that player health pools are significantly bigger than the damage you can do to them. So basically, there won't be any one-shots. Maybe there will if somebody comes up with something crazy, but that's really what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to balance the game around how much damage players can do to each other. And so that's why we're seeing them starting out with 0 base resilience, because they feel that they've hit that mark, and it's not going to be needed anymore, which has kind of been a long time coming, I think.
Eldacar,
should have been that way to begin with, really.
Eldacar, going down to you, health and resilience, the changes that have been announced. What are your thoughts? Liking them?
I'm really, really excited about this change because it does 2 major things. Number one, it changes the pace of gameplay. And having these larger health pools relative to the amount of damage that people can do will help them enable that type of triage healing gameplay that they've been looking to incorporate into the game since like Cataclysm was announced. And I'm really excited to see if they can finally do it here. But then the other major change that this is going to bring about is it makes PvE and PvP feel like they're part of the same game again. I mean, right now there's so much damage reduction from resilience that when you hit a mob out in the world and then you go hit a player, it's like a totally different world.
Yep.
And it's one thing to have some things work a little different in PvP, but when you feel like you're playing a totally different game, I feel like that breaks the immersion of the RPG, and like you're taking your hero into PvP rather than
it actually happening
being a totally
in the
different
world.
game.
Yeah. Right. Actually, Aridn, before I even moving on to Davis, I forgot to ask you. Intellect and agility do not receive crit bonuses anymore. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. It's amazing, honestly. It's those 2 stats throughout I can't really remember how they've worked throughout the whole game, but at least recently they've always benefited from they award crit as well as intellect or spell power or attack power. So taking that away from them puts those stats closer to in line with strength, which doesn't get crit or haste or anything like that. And it's going to reduce the damage overall of these classes, and that's really what they want to do is and also crit chance is being, or well, not chance, but the actual damage from crit is being reduced as well to 150% instead of 200 in PvP. So yeah, they're just trying to really lower the spike damage that you see and go with that triage type play that Jeff was just talking about. So
Jeff, did you have anything to add on that? Intellect and agility not receiving crit bonuses?
Well, I'm happy that those are gone because I feel like it makes it easier for them to balance the value of intellect, all the primary stats. I mean, It used to be that certain classes weighted different primary stats much higher than other classes weighted their primary stats. So this, I feel like it'll allow them to scale gear up more smoothly throughout the expansion, and it just makes things easier to understand for everybody, especially when you're going from one class to another class, planning all that kind of stuff. So that's all good. And then another thing on the resilience and battle fatigue changes. I don't think we actually mentioned that battle fatigue is gone completely. So that is a big change as well. And I feel like the reduction of resilience to 0% and really removing it as a factor, removing battle fatigue as a factor, are great because they remove that complexity. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people and I've written entire guides because people have trouble understanding how resilience functions, how it interacts with stamina, how to increase the survivability of their character, what should they gem, how does it all work? And it's just complicated, and people should not need to read a long guide and see graphs and all this other stuff to understand how to make their character more survivable, or understand how the combat mechanics work in the first place and how to do damage to people. I mean, you should just have your survivability, one method to increase it, and then your damage and one primary method to increase that, and making it simple and easy for people to understand so that they can make intelligent decisions without having to read dissertation-length guides will really improve the enjoyability of the game.
Can I be honest with you for a second? I've gone through pretty much every single one of your resilience guides since I think you started making them in Kata, and I still don't understand how resilience works. I mean,
well, there you go.
I second that.
I'm really happy it's gone.
But at the same time, Jeff, aren't you worried? Like, you'll be out of a job if,
They
everyone
start dumbing
knows
it down.
how, like... What are you
It's not a
What are you
job.
gonna be
I mean-
doing sums on now?
Well, the thing is, there's always going to be stuff to make graphs about. I mean, that's never going to go away. I'm just
That should
happy
be
I
your-
won't have to make them about
your
resilience
tagline.
anymore.
There's always something to make graphs about. Davis, going to you, giving a little recap what we're talking about. We're talking about health and resilience in Warlords of Draenor, the Tech Alpha. You know, they're doubling the health post-squish and making stamina more valuable, and also zero-based resilience. Davis, overall, what are your thoughts on this topic?
I mean, going back to the agility, changing the crit thing, I just think that's a rogue nerf, and would like to have that reverted back so rogues still get a chance at agility. Because I mean, otherwise, why am I playing a rogue if I'm not going to?
I think there was something that said that the baseline crit chance will be buffed for those classes, like 10% or something. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it said. So like rogues, mages, you know, are getting 10% baseline crit in addition to regular. So
then I'm less annoyed about it. But in regards to health pools, I worry that I don't know. This all sounds like it could lead to really slow gameplay, even though like they're taking out base resilience and stuff like that. It still feels like they might scale damage so that it does too little compared to a person's health pool, where it feels like you're just running around for forever and ever trying to kill someone, if you know what I mean. And you can only drop them a little bit, and then the healer gets 1 or 2 heals, and that's, I don't know, 10 minutes of pressure completely overruled. But I don't know.
Well, I think they're really what they're trying to do with Arena, especially, is get it to a point where, you know, it's not about going on one target and bursting them down as fast as you can while something's in CC. It's really going to be about, I think, making a lot of swaps and making smart decisions with, you know, what target you're going on, who you're CCing, and really the winning team is going to be whoever can force the other healer to not be able to keep up. I think that's really what I'm getting from a lot of this.
LSD rejoice.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing, especially with you know, the reduction in CC, the healing changes, the kind of triage style they're going with. I really think it's going to be about overall pressure instead of just a lot of burst, like it kind of is now, more or less.
And so with resilience on gear, like, is that still going to be a thing? I mean,
not as far as we know.
I would imagine not. I mean, they're
So our
leaving it in the
classes-
game but reducing it to 0%. That tells me that they're not 100% sure that it's never going to be needed again, and they want to have that knob there to turn in case it is. But it definitely seems like they're trying to move away from having it as an option, period.
You know, one of my concerns is and now we don't know anything about what they're doing with PvP power yet. I guess that's coming soon in the future. But my biggest concern is what's gonna make it what's gonna make PvP gear strong enough for PvPers. You know, what's gonna make it desirable? Why can't somebody just farm a whole mythic raid for gear and just own? You know, like I'm that's my concern, is that there's not going to be that stat or that desirability for PvP gear anymore.
So you think everyone's going to be running PvE gear?
I don't. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know, what's the purpose of obtaining that PvP gear? You know what I mean? What makes, you know, grinding on or getting your conquest cap worth it if you can just get equal or even better pieces from PvE?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
isn't it
sure
that-
that they're going to do something cool with PvP power, but they haven't announced it yet, so we're just going to have to wait and
Right.
see what it is.
Mm.
Isn't it that, like, aren't there some PvE stats being introduced, if you know what I mean, that are specific to PvE but not PvP? So maybe, like, the item level budget of an item will have a lot spent into the PvE, what's it called again?
The
PvE
tertiary stats?
Yeah, those. Like, is that a thing that could... I mean, that...
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
we,
that's-
we don't know for sure if we're going to see those tertiary stats on PvP gear or not. So, or like the random chance for sockets. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're doing with PvE gear that don't easily translate into the deterministic PvP gear system. I mean, you can't have a random socket roll on an item you buy from a vendor. I mean, I guess you could, but that would be really frustrating.
That just sounds like Diablo. Like,
Oh
telling
man,
your blood
no.
shards. Oh,
No, that blood shard vendor does not treat me right. I do not want to see that.
Moving on to the next topic, CC changes. This is something we've talked about in pretty much every podcast we've done in the past 3 months, right? Most of all classes are affected by this, and a lot of things got removed. Aridn, going to you first. What are your thoughts overall? I mean, what abilities are you happy about being removed, or what CC changes are you happy about? And
I mean, overall, we kind of had a good idea of what was going to happen from the Dev water cooler that came out a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. So I wasn't really surprised by anything I saw. Some of the things I'm glad to see go are the abilities that kind of play the game for you, like Priest Scyfiend and things like that, like Pet CC. A lot of that's gone. So I'm happy about that. But overall, I'd say they pretty much hit the nail on the head with it. Some of the things I'm not sure how it'll work out. For example, maybe this is Warlock bias, but other classes have fears too. That fears are being reduced to 6-second duration because of the whole running mechanic to it.
Right.
And I'm just worried that that's not gonna. That's such a. It doesn't always work out that the player you fear runs completely across the map. So he could just kind of run in a small circle where he stands, and now you have a much shorter duration CC than everything else. So I'm just kind of worried how that'll balance out. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what they've done so far.
Davis, going down to you, we were kind of talking earlier, and it seems like, I think probably most people agree with this too, but you said, mages and hunters seem like they've had the most changed so far. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, mages and hunters seem to jump out to me as getting the most changes, specifically regarding their CC and things like that. Like Palm not being able to work on polymorph is kind of I think that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
And Dragon's Breath Disorient, I mean, it was one of the only things that made Fire Mages viable was probably the Dragon's Breath and the fact you can 100 to owe someone. So most of the game you're not 100 owing someone, you're just Dragon's Breath bot. But yeah, they changed a lot of CC in the game, so hopefully the game will be way easier to deal with. And I really like the fear change. I think that's a really good fear change. I mean,
don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's just that if you get kind of, I guess, a bad fear, now you have a shorter CC than all the other classes provide, is what I'm saying. Where a poly is 8 seconds, a fear is still only 6, regardless of where they're at.
Well, fear has kind of always had that RNG aspect to it. You get good fears and you get bad fears. So it's not that huge a change, but I'll be interested to see if they make any further changes.
Yeah, just cast it over
Just keep fearing.
Well, my idea for it was, honestly, so Warlocks have this glyph of fear that makes targets stand in one place. They don't run all over the place. Maybe making that glyph extend the duration back to 8 seconds. So they stand in place and they're feared for 8 seconds rather than running away. And it might open up some decent choices in glyphs, which is another thing I think we're lacking, is that, well, there have been kind of data mine glyphs that we'll have to take a closer look at, but one of the things we're definitely lacking is good, solid glyph choices, I think.
Eldacar, going down to you, you didn't really kind of fully voice anything about CC changes. Is there anything you want to add to, basically every class being affected by, the pruning of CC, basically?
Well, I've said this before, but I think toning back CC in the game is the biggest thing that they can do to improve quality of life and improve the enjoyment of play in PvP. Because nobody likes being CC'd under the dead, or the majority of the time they're playing. The more people can actually play their characters and play the game, the more enjoyable it's going to be. I mean, there's still considerations that you have to make about making sure casters and squishier classes in particular are viable, that they can get the space they need to create to cast their spells, especially, particularly now that hard casting is more important. But it's really hard to get a full picture of how everything is going to work out until we can get in there and start testing the game. Everybody has the tendency to relate the changes back to their current experiences with the class and the current gameplay, because that's the only frame of reference that we all have to work with. But we really cannot make judgments on how viable certain classes are going to be until we get in there and play with these changes in an actual live testing environment.
I mean, everything we've just said through the last 49 minutes of this show can be completely wrong because we haven't played it. So
That's true.
Exactly.
we don't know anything, really.
Well, interesting enough, too, Eldacar, kind of like when you first started talking about the removal of CC changes, it also makes it, it makes it easier for the average or new player to kind of feel, I guess, I don't want to say more welcome, but it's an easier start for new players to get into random battlegrounds or arenas for that matter, too. Taking out some of those CC, because that can be really frustrating. I mean, that can really, depending on, chain CCing, but I mean, that can be very frustrating for any player, but especially new players or, your average players. Interestingly enough, I think the last topic we're going to go to is professions. We kind of ran out of time. We're not even going to get into the major class changes, but we can certainly save that for next week when Aridn's not here, thank God.
Well, we don't want to hear me QQ about Warlocks. I understand completely.
Someone actually
Where's
asked...
my fell flame?
Where's my fell flame? I'm quitting Warlock. Holinka, take note.
Man.
Aridn is quitting the Warlock class because there's no more.
Why do I feel like there's a meme coming out of that somewhere?
Someone actually earlier in chat actually asked if we were going to talk about the profession changes. And basically, professions are not going to have slot bonuses anymore. And it seems like just talking to you guys earlier, the three of you guys earlier, everyone was excited about this. The grind is taken out of leveling up different professions. Eldacar, going to you first. Why are you so excited about the slot bonuses going away?
I think this is just an absolutely fantastic change, and I wish that they had done this 10 years ago. From the day I started playing this game and the day I started PvPing and picked up those first professions, I have always selected my professions based on what is best for PvP. And it is enormously frustrating to not have that choice. I mean, to have these cool professions in the game and feel like I need to level up an alt just to get the professions that I want. And then even then, I can't really use that character to its full potential in whatever I'm trying to do because I don't have the right professions on them. I'm always going to feel like that character's a little bit gimped. So to have the professions truly be an optional choice again, well, not again, for the first time ever, is fantastic. I just cannot speak more highly of this change.
Davis, going down to you. Professions. Getting rid of the slot bonus. Gone. What are your thoughts?
I mean, for the sake of discussion, I'm going to take the point of view of someone who wouldn't like this change, and that would be...
How dare you, sir?
I mean... technically I am one of these people, because I haven't played World of Warcraft much. I logged on World of Warcraft about, I don't know, a while ago, and the first thing I did was level tailoring. I was like, I'm going to max my tailoring, I'm going to get that done, and then a few days later they're like, oh, by the way, profession's completely gone. So now all that effort I put in, all that gold, I mean, I'm not going to really see a bonus for it, so what is there being, what is the point of professions now? Like, can I craft way better gear, or is the gear just, I don't know, kind of better, like it seems to be at the moment? I don't really think that, even from a PvE perspective, I don't think crafting is particularly, I mean, it's not like you need your best in slot pieces from crafting. So the question is,
crafting gear gets pretty quickly phased out. The gear from instances and stuff really kind of is better than anything you could craft. So that's kind of a downside. I think they're going to have to add some kind of bonus to each profession that makes it sort of a fun thing, like a flavor, sort of like engineering, for example. You have your rocket boots and your parachute. I think each profession's going to have something like that to where people say, hey, I want to actually level this.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it would be, I don't know. They were cool bonuses. The engineering ones were cool. I can understand why they kind of were taken out, because I mean, some of them are just OP. Like tailoring is just kind of pretty OP. It's just passive spell power or attack power. But I don't know. At the same time, they did, and it was a choice you could make about your character and the gear you would take, if you know what I mean. That made it different from other people's, I guess.
But was it really a choice? I mean, let's be honest. It's
Well,
you know.
I don't know. Like, I would say there were like 4 viable options: tailoring, engineering, blacksmithing, and enchanting, and then jewel crafting, I guess. Like, and you could pick from those whatever you felt was most suited. If you liked having, passive extra stats, then people would just go for the extra gem slots and stuff like that. But
Right.
if you liked, if you liked having more guaranteed burst, then you were an engineer. If you
See, I'm kind of with Jeff on it. Like the main classes I play. I have the best professions that I can have for them. My warlock's blacksmithing and engineering. My DK is jewel crafting, enchanting, just because strength is so strong for them. But and then I feel like if I want professions to like farm mats or make money, I have to level something else and just get like farming professions. And it doesn't. And then if I want to play them in PvP, they're at a disadvantage because they don't have the strong professions.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, JD, about wanting to feel like you have something cool from these professions and make them feel worthwhile. But I feel like they really need to make some broader, more overarching changes to professions in general to make them more interesting and more compelling. And that making them feel like a mandatory buff that's difficult to change and takes a long, long time to grind out is not the right way to make professions an appealing aspect of the game.
What's actually interesting too is, and this is very minor, but did you see that they're actually they're gonna kind of do away with glyphs? Did you see this, or the main glyphs, and they're actually just gonna give them to you instead of purchasing them on the auction house? That's kind of interesting. I mean, that kind of ruins the economy
for everybody
for
but
some people.
inscriptionists.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad time to be a
Excuse
scribe.
Yeah. Aridn, I know you commented kind of pretty much on what everyone was saying. Did you have anything else about profession changes or no slot bonus?
The biggest thing I like about it is that if I decide that I want to level up another class or an alt or whatever, I don't have to drop 12k gold just to be in the same place my other tunes are. I like that a lot because I don't have the patience to farm them. I have to just power level.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. I think we kind of ran out of time. We had so much stuff to talk about that we'll just continue next week. I'm sure there'll be more information. We didn't get a chance to go through the different class changes individually, but who cares about that anyways? We can save it for next week when Aridn's not here. I just want to remind
I want to say one thing really quick, if I can. First of all, thanks all you guys for being in chat and supporting the show. But with the alpha and the beta coming up, if any of you guys do get access and play, I know a lot of people like to be negative about this change and that change. Get on the forums, really, and give explanations why you don't like changes. I mean, that's really the best thing you can do for getting WoW to go in a better direction. If you don't like something, get on the forums and say why.
Yeah.
Leave that feedback. That's the whole point of beta and alpha.
It helps out the whole community.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Blizzard is very receptive to constructive feedback, and the more constructive it is, the more you give explanations why, like Danny was saying, the better it's going to be received and the more useful it's going to be to the developers, and the better chance you have of actually affecting the change that you want to see in the game. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And one last thing that I want to add is, as I'm sure everybody's seen blown up on Twitter, there are no alpha keys. If you get selected for the alpha, your account is flagged directly. Do not click any suspicious emails. There are no keys. You're not going to get one in your email. Don't click the link.
Yeah, it seems like Blizzard's kind of doing away with keys. They're just flagging accounts, and it seems like maybe that's kind of the road they're taking. It might be safer. I don't know, but it is always, it's kind of always exciting too, is, getting that actual physical key, not physical key, that digital key like in your mailbox, right? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like they're doing well with it. It doesn't seem like there's any problems besides phishing attempts, really. So
exactly. And as they move away from this, and as people understand that keys are not going out anymore, I think the phishing attempts will go down, or at least less people are going to fall for them, hopefully.
Yeah. Aridn, going to you. Any last minute shout outs before you wrap up the 22nd PvP Live podcast?
I already think, Chad, I'm good. No, but seriously, thanks, guys. You guys have been awesome. I love seeing all the discussion going on as we're talking about different topics. It's really cool to see the same passion that we have amongst yourselves. So thanks for being here for another week, and thanks to you guys for having me on another show. Absolutely.
Davis, going down to you. Any last minute shout outs?
Shout out to Blizzard for making Death from Above. I want to be able to spam it. I want it to do OP damage. Thank you.
Okay. Well put. Eldacar, how about yourself?
I want to give a shout out to the chat. Absolutely. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks for being here and watching the podcast and communicating with us. And a huge shout out to Blizzard and Rigarius in particular and everybody else that was involved in making this massive George R.R. Martin length book about the patch.
But nobody died. Nobody
does.
Well, not yet.
Not
yet.
The book is yet to end.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to PvP Power yet, so maybe book 2. Who knows?
There you go.
Maybe.
Well, I don't want to cover everything that everyone's already covered. Thank you to Chad, thank you to Blizzard, and I just want to say, please go to pvp-live.com, bookmark that site, follow us all on Twitter, follow us on Twitch. You can actually sub to us now, and don't forget, we have a whole community of Blizzard sites. Heroes Live, Hearthstone Live. We even have PvE Live now too. So if you guys are into rating, go to that site.
It's no longer a public service announcement. It's no longer Hearthstone Live. It's just hearth-live.com.
Yep.
You had to change it. So
yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Aridn. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you right here next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. Later, guys.
Thanks.
See ya.